Aleeza Ben Shalom, welcome back to Jewish Money Matters. How are you? It's so good to have you on the show.
Good, Yael. How are you? I'm so happy to be here.
I am so happy to have you back. Last time you were here, this book was in the making, and now it's at now it's at no, now it's out. Matchmaker. Find me. I love that last. I'm so excited to talk about this book. And you're still in Israel. Life is going great over there. We're still longing to be close to you over there. But let's tackle the book. What was what was missing, Aleeza? What was left out of your previous book, and what had changed in the landscape that you said you felt this book needed to address?
I think that as we go through life, we learn things. So for me, I was meeting with, hundreds of clients and talking to people. And over the years, I see patterns that exist.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to name things. So I give things a label and then I explain stories. And then I'm like, and here's how you maneuver around it. And so it
Uh-huh.
was this outpouring of wisdom that came together through all of those experiences. And it's like, this is the summary because I like to distill things down and then tachlis, like get to the point.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the chapters, for example, is called High Quality Humans. And HQH is my abbreviation for high quality human. I'm like, you need to find an HQH. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, some people describe it like the boy next door. Some people describe it like the one that you don't never want to marry because like they're good, but like they're not like fun or exciting or right. I was like, yeah, but you need a high quality human. And whether or not they're fun or exciting, you need somebody who, when you wake up, you know how you're going to get treated and you know who they're going to be today. And you know that this will be a beautiful life for you.
Yeah.
So it's examples like that, and then like real client stories. So you don't just explain the concept and you're like, oh, in theory, this is what I mean. It's like, no, no, no.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you a story. One time I had a client, and then you hear the whole client's story. And so you walk through it, and it's like it comes alive. It's almost like not you're reading a fiction book, but it's nonfiction with all the wisdom and details that you need to do something good for your own dating life.
I love it. I'm with your beautiful humor, and it's fabulous. Now you said the word patterns. First of all, you reminded me that when I was dating, my rabbi told me, "Yeah, El, you know what we take to bed at night? A good heart." Everything else is a
Mm,
mess. When you talked about high quality humans, right? That reminded me of the idea. It's a good heart. Like you go to
yeah.
that's the partner, somebody who has a good heart. They're gonna be there for you. They have the heart in the right place, the right intentions. So important. You talked about patterns, and I wonder if that has to do also with you talk about dating habits. Like there's dating habits that maybe we kind of get into and we kind of like fall into a pattern of how we date. Is that some of like what exactly are some of these dating habits that maybe could hurt us? They prevent us from finding that long-lasting partner that we're looking for.
So some things that we do is that we kind of mourn the loss of what's not working. So one of the chapters is called Rejection is God's Protection.
Yeah.
By the way, they let me put the word God in there. They didn't delete that. They didn't just say rejection is protection. They let me leave rejection is God's protection in the book. And
By they you mean your publisher?
the publisher, yeah, yeah. Well, I
Uh-huh.
think that's fab. It's not a religious publisher. It's a completely secular
Right.
publisher. Like, I think that's really big
Yeah,
news.
it's huge.
So, but a concept like this, where when we get a no, and we're sometimes feeling so down, and why, and we want to look into it, and we want to convince somebody why this should work, and sometimes we just have to realize rejection is God's protection.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes a no, there's a huge blessing in a no. Now, there could be the off chance that yes, maybe something could have been, maybe you need to look back. That's a different story. But in general, if there comes a point where something doesn't work in dating, we have to look and go, thank you. Okay, don't know why
Mhm.
this wasn't going to work. Don't know why you said no. Don't know why we're not moving forward, but I'm going to trust that the one above has a plan for me, and I'm going to trust that this is for my greatest good, whatever that means. And I
Yeah.
I don't like it. You don't have to like it, but and you don't even have to understand it. You just have to have an awareness that things that happen to us that aren't what we prefer aren't bad. They're just
Hmm.
different. right? Like it's
Mm.
not the same, it's just different. And different isn't bad. Different can mean protection.
Yeah, and that's a lesson in life, right? Because we're gonna get no's all the time for
All
different
in
reasons.
business and
Right.
family, all
Right.
over, and
Even
especially
in the
in dating.
timing that we want things, right? It might be the thing and we're just not happening at the right time, right? That's a no, right? Like that's a no, not yet, but right. And so we have to learn that skill of accepting and knowing that there's divine wisdom in that. Now, there's also the learning from the pattern that you alluded to. So if we get the no, right? And we have the awareness that there's it's happened several times sort of for the same, like, how does this happen? How does a person identify, look, there's a pattern and what do I have to learn from this? Because sometimes that's also why this is happening, because God is pushing us to change, to grow, to learn something. So how do we get to that space where we're noticing where is the change that needs to happen?
So I think patterns are the key, right? If something happens to you once, you don't have to go, "Oh my gosh, I learned the big," like you could learn a big lesson, but you could also just go, that didn't work, right? And you
Okay.
try something again, but if you see a pattern and the second time and the same a very similar situation, wait, now I'm going, that wasn't just a one-off,
Right.
right? By the time it's happening for the third time, now I've got questions. Do I
Mm-hmm.
keep falling into a similar pattern? Am I doing something to create this pattern and thing that's happening? Could I do something differently to shift what's happening in my life? And as I
Mm-hmm.
start to reflect, I start to have an awareness that this is a message. This isn't just a one-off. I mean,
Right.
there's a message even in a one-off, but a
Right.
deeper message when the same thing happens over and over again. And I'm not generically speaking about rejection, because in
Mm-hmm.
dating, I expect there to be rejection over and over again.
Part of the
But
process.
it's part of the process. But if you keep dating the same type of person and it
Mm-hmm.
keeps not working out with that same kind of person, maybe we should be open to trying somebody a little bit different. Maybe what I think is going to work might not be exactly what's going to work. So
Mm-hmm.
it's worth looking into something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I think I would say with money, right? Like you're doing a certain type of investing or something and it's not working and it keeps not working. So you could push through and say, I'm going to keep going. This is what I want. Or you could say, wait a minute. Should I be
Yeah.
doing something else? Should I be trying something else? Am I missing something here? Right? You might
Right.
investigate it if
Right.
it's
Why
not.
do why do I always get fall into the same level of debt? Why do I always get, trapped into this type of situation, right? There's patterns, and then I guess at that point, as you're talking about this, I'm thinking this is where a good coach would come in, a good mentor that could help a person identify those areas of self-growth and where they need to grow, because we were kind of blind to our own. I mean, it's a blind, they're blind spots.
Yeah. I think that coaching is really key because we look at our lives and we see a very zoomed in picture. And as we zoom out, we get lost in the puzzle of our life where somebody
Right.
else can look at us and not be so confused. And they can say, well, the last 5 times that you did this, that behavior, I
Right.
noticed that it produced this really unfavorable result.
Right.
And I'm wondering, is there another way that you could go about things, or have you tried doing something else? Other people also might have new ideas, and you're like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that, right? I'm sure with
Right.
money all the time,
Yeah.
people come with one idea, and you're like, have you ever thought about investing in dot dot dot,
Right.
fill in the blank? And they're like, no, wait, tell me
Tell me
more.
more.
Right, right. So I think that there's just so much wisdom to be had. And I do think a coach, a mentor, somebody who is outside of my own viewpoint. I used to work with Rabbi Aryeh Niven for 2 years. We did a really deep, intensive work. It was after all of this personal growth work that I decided to start my business, and I had this big aha moment. Wait, I forgot why I was telling you this story.
I don't
What
know,
did
but
I
I
just?
love him. So you better remember
I
that
love him.
story because he's
Wait,
so
wait.
good.
Go back. What were we were just talking
We were
about
talking about
patterns.
having a good coach, a good mentor
A
who
good
helps us.
coach. Right. So I was going about my life and doing my things, and I couldn't like put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And through his work and everything that we talked about, the depth and who we are and what we want to do in the world and how we want to have an impact, it was like click, 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 click. And then I had this clarity moment like, oh, You need to be a dating and relationship coach, a matchmaker. Like, you need to do this professionally. This isn't just
Right.
a fun side hobby thing that you're going to do. This is your life. This is what you're going to
Mhm.
do with your life. And I was like, oh my gosh. And as soon as I had that inspiration, I had to stop working with him because I had to go build the business. And I was like, I don't have any time. I'm busy. I'm building a business. I know I just had to get clear. I wasn't clear. He totally brought everything into clarity, into that moment of seeing it in a crystal clear way. And I was like, oh, and I haven't stopped since then. And it's no, it's not, I said a decade. It's more than a decade. I started this business in 2007, and I must have been
Mhm.
working with him in 2005, 4, 5, 6. I'm like, this is
Wow.
this is 2 decades ago that we did this work. And I every so often I sent him a message and I was like, I just want to say thank you. You really helped me to figure this out. And I wasn't doing it on my own. Like, I had an idea about the things that I liked. I had an idea about what I could do with my interests or hobbies or passions, but it didn't come together big picture until I had that coach for that moment to
Yeah.
just clear it up.
It's so good. And it's such an incredible feeling when you know that you just found your purpose and you give yourself the permission to be in that space and just go in that
Yes.
direction. And the curiosity
Yes.
of what now I know there's so many things that this could bring. Let's just explore them. You just get focused.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know
It's
exactly.
such a it's a pleasure, right? It's like so good when you know who you are or what you want to do, or when you start dating the right person and you're like, it just feels so good because you hit the moment. It's like,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. Yes, definitely. And definitely with dating, there's a moment where you just know. Um actually, but in from that piece of that conversation that we just kind of sidetracked into, I wonder if what do you think about if you're dating, is there discomfort in knowing or realizing that the other person is still in that journey of discovery? I mean, this is a completely doesn't like off the cuff question type of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like for some people, they might want to date a guy who's like already boxed in their thing. Like, I don't want to hear that they're exploring, that they're doing, that they're like what you just described that we both went through. Like, is there space for that in the dating process? Should there be? Or is that something that tends to make people uncomfortable? And why should it? Why shouldn't it?
It is a really good question. And I think at the root of it is, where is somebody in life? If they're
Mm-hmm.
younger and they haven't figured themselves out yet, somewhere in their 20s, even into their early 30s, and they just like didn't hit on it yet, if there's somebody who's motivated, hardworking, dedicated, committed, right? That personality type, they're going to be successful when they hit on it. And even if they
Mm-hmm.
don't hit on it, they're going to be successful along the way, figuring it
Mm-hmm.
out. What
Yes.
really concerns people is when they see somebody that's a lookalike to that, but they're not dedicated and not hardworking, and they're just like, I just haven't figured myself out yet, and one day I will. Like a little bit
Mm-hmm.
floating somewhere in the air, and they're not necessarily so hardworking, and they're not necessarily so dedicated, and
Right.
they're not necessarily so motivated or driven. That scares people. And the
Yeah.
truth is, even if they found something they were passionate about, it's not just like, I haven't found something I'm passionate about, so I'm not motivated. Even people who aren't sure about what they want to do, they're still always motivated. Like, I always had a drive.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yes.
where to put my energy, but it went somewhere.
Yes.
But I
I know
just
what you're
didn't know,
saying.
right? I just
And
didn't know
there's a
where to put it
stickiness.
all.
Like, are they
Yes.
motivated in other areas of their life? Do they go exercise
Yes.
every day? Do they go to shul? Like,
Yes.
what is there's
Yes.
other things that drive them. Do they have consistency? Do they have stickiness in
Yes.
those things, right?
Yes, that's exactly it. Can I count on them? Are they
Yes.
reliable? Are they responsible? Are they real? Or are
Hmm.
they just having a nice time in life and enjoying the ride?
Peter
And that
Pan.
sounds really
Right.
lovely. And you have Peter Pan syndrome. And whenever it happens, it will happen. That scares people. And for good reason it should, because whenever could be never. And I don't know if
Yes.
I want to live a life of never having you actualize your potential
Yeah.
and be excited about something.
Yes, and I think you hit on it. Actualize your potential because that really is at the core of it. And some people later on in life might say, "Oh, well, he didn't make any money or she didn't make any money, whatever it is," right? But it really doesn't. It's not about the money. It's about actualizing potential. You wanna both be in this journey of actual maximizing, actualizing what you're set out to become, and help each other through that. but there has to be, again, the drive, the motivation, the belief, right?
My mom always said, do what you love, the money will follow, right? It's
Yeah.
not, the money is the money, it will come. And in whatever form it comes, maybe you're not going to be a millionaire, billionaire. Okay. Maybe you'll earn enough to get by in your life. Okay. Maybe you'll earn not exactly enough to get by and people will help you and the community will pitch in. Okay. Right. There's many, many different ways of living. And it's not just that you're going to earn a great living because you're doing something great in the world. Like maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't happen. But first, do what you love, follow your passion. Follow something that brings you joy. Follow something that puts a smile on your face. Two things in our lives that we spend the most time with, our partners and our work. We
Yeah.
spend the most time with the person that we're going to choose and what we choose to do, right?
Yes.
And then money and all those things, we spend it in those other moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So pick a good partner, pick a good job, and then use the money to infuse your life with goodness, right? And
Love it.
figure out how to put a smile on your face. You know,
Yes.
after the show happened and, things started to shift, I said, you know what? We moved to Israel. We had a car. It was a 5-seater car. That was all we could afford at the time. I was like, I just want to get a 7-seater. We have 5 kids and 2 adults, and that's 7 of us. And I want to be able to
Yeah.
fit all of
That's
us in
without a
one.
guest. That's without a friend.
I just want to have enough room. So fine. So we did. So we got a 7-seater car. And then, our son went to the army. And so like there's fewer of us home. But sometimes just the comfort of what money can do for you is lovely. And when you spend it on the things that are important to you, it's really nice. You
Mm-hmm.
have to know what you value and you have to spend time with the people that you value. And you're also going to be spending time doing something in the world. Do something that you
Yeah.
first don't hate, that you could tolerate, that you like, that you maybe enjoy, and if you can get to the place where it's something that you love, that you're passionate about, that you're excited about, that's great. And I
Yeah.
feel like do what you love and the money will follow.
Yes. And they say that the most important financial decision of your life is the person you marry. It's so
I've been
true.
seeing, have you been seeing this all over social media? People have
I
been doing
have, but it's so
interviews.
true.
No, they've been doing interviews with like millionaire billionaires. I've been seeing this everywhere. Oh my gosh, so and so billionaire, da da da. Hey, what is the key to your success? And he's like, my wife, it's who
Oh,
I married. And I'm like,
really?
yes. I mean, I see relationship stuff all over my
This is your
newsfeed.
algorithm. No,
It's
but
my
I've seen it
algorithm,
too.
but it keeps popping up.
I've seen an older gentleman, an older businessman, several times it popped in my algorithm saying it, and I've heard it before. And there's so much, and I even think maybe even was it Warren Buffett or Charles Munger? It's one of them. One of them also
Right.
said it. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
there's so much
I'm not the
purpose
only
to that.
one seeing it. I'm so glad it's in
Oh,
somebody
you're
else's
not the only
algorithm
one. The
too.
algorithm is feeding it to us, but it's
Yeah.
but it's so true. And you reminded me. I recently interviewed Rabbi David Aaron. You know David Aaron? He's in Jerusalem. Love
Do
him.
I have a story about Rabbi David Aaron? It's
Let's
thanks to
hear.
Rabbi David Aaron that I have really, truly, truly embraced my Judaism
Oh,
and
really? Oh, so you guys
gotten
go
to
way
enjoy it.
back.
We go way back. We
No
go way back.
way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You went through
Yeah.
Israelite? Like, what
I
was it?
went through
Oh
Israelite.
my God.
I was one of his first books, Endless Light.
Yeah.
I read that book and I was like, yes, yes. And that's it. Like a
Right.
light bulb went off after that retreat. I was like, okay, I don't know what all the rules are, but like game on, I'm in. I like
There,
this Judaism thing.
there's something here. Oh, that's so special.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So he has a new book. He's working on a new book, so stay tuned, people. So anyway, so he was sharing with me that in fact, when he was dating his wife, um, he told her, "Look, I I just want you to know, like, I don't have a lot of money, and I don't necessarily have a real plan how I'm going to make a livelihood." And she said to him, "That's okay. I see that you're really a motivated person, a hardworking person, a committed person. That's all that matters." It's the same things you were saying. So it was like,
Right.
and yeah, they've been married for over 40 years.
Yeah. And he's been wildly successful. He has
Exactly.
really transformed many lives, mine
Yeah.
included.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So I guess we got into a little bit of the red flags, right? Because, red flag would have been like if the person just not motivated, they're just like floating around, really floating around, right? You don't see them committed to any other area of their lives and nothing really drives them. And, what could be other red flags in dating?
Oh, there's so many. There's even what I would call black flags, like
Oh
abuse, addiction, like universal
no. Yeah.
things are black flags, okay? Like abuse and addiction. But in terms of red flags are more personal to me. So there might be
Okay.
something that triggers me and it doesn't trigger you or somebody else, and it wouldn't be a problem. So the
Okay.
story of somebody with, not a lot of money or not having a job right now, that might be that's not a universal red flag, like a
Right.
black flag. That's just a red flag. Like for some people, it's like, oh my gosh. And for other people, it's like, it's okay. You're a motivated person. I see other things. You have had a job. You will have a job. No, for today, I don't care.
Okay.
Right. So it could be like that. For some people, it could be different habits. So if somebody's a smoker, that could be a red flag for somebody. For other people, political beliefs, that's a red flag.
You're
Yeah,
right.
it's so interesting. I just have to bring this up. Political beliefs are not about politics anymore. They have literally become the base of which we decide who we are and how we want to live. And it's not about politics. It's just my beliefs are in alignment. It happens to align with this political party more than that one. So it's not really my politics. It's just at the core of my beliefs. Politics just used to be the way that we voted.
Yeah.
Politics,
Yeah.
politics is not that anymore. It's like it's just totally exploded. And it's
Uh-huh.
so much more than that. It's at the core of my value system, right?
Yeah, I was about to use the
You,
word value. Yeah, it is. It's become that.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So politics, that can be a really big red flag for people that are on either extreme. If you're in the middle, it matters a little less. If you're really on an extreme, you need to marry somebody who's closer to your side. Because even
Well,
somebody that's neutral is upsetting. Because I believe what I believe and it's right, and you don't even care. What do you
right,
mean you
right.
don't?
If you
How
have
could
very
you not
strong
care?
convictions for a particular value system and the other person's just very chilled
They're
about it, maybe that's
neutral,
not,
right?
yeah, yeah,
For
yeah.
them, that becomes a red flag. So that could be another example of a red flag. There's just
That's so interesting. I never thought of red flags as being really being personal, but you're right. I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, family history, family background. For somebody, it could be good. For somebody else, it could be a red flag.
When we're dating,
Religion could be a red flag.
yeah, religion, level of
And like their
observance.
level of observance, exactly.
Right. Although I always say, like, if you see that you're going in the same direction, you don't have to be in the same level.
Right.
You don't have to be on the same page of the book, but you have to be on the same book. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly.
Right?
I
You have to be
usually say
reading.
like you're driving a car you're going in the same direction, but you might be going in different speeds. And when you're
Yeah, exactly.
dating, you're in two different cars going different speeds. At the end, you got to get married. You're going to end up in the same car. You're going to end up going the same speed. You go a little faster, slower,
Right. You
we
got to be in the same car going in the same direction. You can't be in
yeah.
different cars, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you're dating, you're in different cars, but when
Yeah,
you get
when you're
married, you have to
dating,
be in the same
right, of
one.
course, when you're dating, but you have to see if you could be, if you look
So
like you could jump in the
you could
same
be
car.
right. And then you have to realize who the driver is, right? So if one's going
Oh,
faster and one goes slower, right? So who's driving? So when I drive, right, we go at X speed. And when he drives, we go at Y speed. Okay.
right,
They're two
right,
different speeds and we're not always moving at the same pace. We don't always compromise to get to an exact middle. It's like a little,
right. But you're moving in the
like a
same
seesaw.
direction. It's okay,
Yeah, in the
same
same
speed.
car and suck it up. This is it. This is as fast as we go.
Right, 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 right. Good one, good one, good one. Alisa, how does it work these days? I mean, it's been a while. Paying and dating, like what do people do? Are there best practices? What's the story? Who pays? What's comfortable? How does it work?
Yeah, there's modern practices and then there's Aleeza practices,
Oh,
okay?
let's hear them. And then
Yeah,
I want to know if there's Yael practices too.
I think Yael and Aleeza practices might be similar, just
Very.
guessing. So modern practices, a lot of people like to split the bill, and I always say splitting the bill splits the connection. I like for a man to be a gentleman, man up, pay the bill. Do that for a couple dates. If you want to take him out, right? If she wants to take him out, great. You can take him out, but pay the
Mhm.
whole bill. Don't say like, "Oh, I'm doing you a favor. I'll pay my half, you pay yours." I pay for me, you pay for me, you like, what is that? That has nothing to do with building a relationship. When you want to
Right.
build a connection, you need to give. Ahava at the root of the word
Hmm.
ahava, love is have
Hmm.
to give. It's
Hmm.
literally the instructions for how to build love. You want
Hmm.
to build love, give. Give
Hmm.
your love, your connection will grow. So
Hmm.
that's how I like to do it. I like to have one person pay, one. So
And meaning to say then the man should be the one who for the most part is paying because he is the mashpia, he is the giver by nature. And if the woman wants to give, like he wants to surprise him or treat him on a special, like, yeah, I don't know, we're going on a boat ride or something fun. I don't know. But she has to foot the whole thing because she's giving.
The whole thing. I don't
Hmm.
like the splitsies. I don't like the halvesies. I mean, if you want to, I don't know, you're dating for a long time and you want to go on vacation together and you're both, earning as much as you can, but it's not so much, then if you are going to split the bill, so to speak, then I
Hmm.
would say that you should like pay, I'm paying for you, you pay for me kind of thing. Like I'm not paying my way and you're paying your way. I'm paying your way and you're paying my way. Even just mentally, it's just a
Interesting.
mental shift.
Interesting. Now, how many people agree with us? That's my question. Like, how many people agree with your method? Because you said there's modern and there's Aleeza, and I'm in your camp. Yes, the guy should be paying.
I mean,
Um,
it's not 100% of the time. There's many women that are out earning men very strongly. Like it's just
and
they're
does that,
it
but that doesn't necessarily mean that they should pay. Like even if
no,
I make more money, I'm going on a first date, second date, third date, even fifth date. Like that's a man to
correct.
pay, right?
Correct. But if I want to do something that's going to cost more and that's out of his budget and I want to do that with him, then I
Hmm.
should say, "Hey, let's go out my treat," right?
Right.
And take
Right.
him to do what you
Okay.
want to
But
do.
going back to the initial, like you were very firm. Like for the first, what did you say, 5 dates or something? He should be paying. Is that
I like in the beginning. Yeah, it's 3, 4,
is that
5.
well
Yeah.
received? Like, do people take to that? Like, is there resistance to that advice?
There's a lot of resistance. A lot of people are like, we'll just split it. Like, I don't, the reasoning is, I don't know if I like them. So like, I don't want to invest. And if I'm
Mm.
invested, then I'll do something. And I'm like, no, that's the whole point. That's literally the point is
There
to
you go.
help you both be invested.
There you
And we
go.
don't know if something's going to be there or if something's not going to be there. We're just
Mm-hmm.
not sure.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeah. I could see it's just it's become so hard. I'm so glad I'm not on it. No, because it would never occur to me to go on a first date, second date. Like it would just never occur to me to even like make an attempt to pay. I
Yeah.
don't know,
Yeah. It's a
right?
it's a thing. It's a thing.
It's a thing. It's a thing for the guys to ask to split the bill. Like I just
I mean,
don't.
sometimes they'll say, like, should we split it? And the girls are like, or the girl, no, the women will usually say, like, oh, do you want to split the bill? And they're usually testing the men. That, like, men, let me just tell you,
Oh, oh,
men, this is a test. If you say yes to splitting the bill, usually you fail, unless they're very strongly a feminist, in which case you must let them, or else they'll never see you again. So you just have to be a psychic. You just have to know who you're dating.
wow. I'm glad. I hope there's a lot of men listening too, because this is a good tip. Yeah, we don't want you to fail the test, guys. This is a good one, Elisa.
Not at all. We don't want
I
anybody failing.
oh my gosh. Okay, so we've now entered the new world of modern dating in this conversation. You and I didn't have this. We didn't have dating apps. Um, Dating apps. How like can we actually get out of this train of like the first dates and the coffee with this one and the coffee with that one and the swiping? Um, how do we start getting out of this train? Again, I wasn't really in that, but I do remember though, and it might be same with you. I do remember at one time I just like took a break, like too many first dates, like too many going out for coffees. Like I'm done with that. I need a break. And actually, when I did that, that's when somebody told me about my husband. So maybe there was an
Ah,
energetic thing there, you know? I just needed to like give myself the space of not going on so many first dates. But anyways, how do we jump off this roller coaster? Because it seems like you could be going on first dates forever.
yeah. So dating apps are an interesting thing. Dating apps are like a yay boo. It's like up and down. They're a database. They're an enormous database of people all over the world, and you can do some pretty awesome searching to try to find somebody. But
Hmm.
at the same time, you have to scroll through thousands of people to get a date. Like
Hmm.
somewhere between 1,000 to 1,500 people of swiping yes or no to get one date. And every
Hmm.
time you're swiping, I learned this recently, you get a dopamine hit with every swipe, and it doesn't matter
Oh,
if it's a yes or no.
of
Okay.
course.
Al,
Yes.
can you imagine? I have had 1,500 dopamine swipes of like, ooh, 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 every time. And then I go on a first date. You think I'm gonna go, ooh, ooh, after my
Oh
first date?
my gosh. Yeah, it's
Very hard to
terrible.
get a first date to be more exciting than all of those swiping. Even though you're going to sit there and complain that it doesn't work, you're still getting some positive reaction within your body, whether you know it or you don't know it. You are getting a chemical reaction that is feeding you, but it feeds you to get back on the apps and not stay in the dating
This is
because it's more
crazy.
exciting.
It's crazy. I never thought of that, but it's so true.
Right. I also never had it to this detail, and somebody pointed this out to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, what? This is like shocking and slightly traumatizing because what, how do I make my first date more exciting than 1,500 swipes?
Hits.
Dopamine hits. It's not hits. It's like a hit. It's a charge. It's
Right.
a physiological response that my body is receiving with positive things moving in it. And I'm going to go out on a date with you and you're like, hey, how are you doing? Unless you like, woo, wow me, I'm just not going to be so interested. And I'm going to go back to swiping because I get a stronger charge from that than I do from you.
Right.
So it can work. I've seen dozens upon dozens upon dozens, maybe hundreds at this point, of people that have met online on apps. Because if you do the numbers and you throw enough darts at the board and you have enough options, eventually something potentially could really work. And it does for some people. And for
Mhm.
other people, it is burnout and is exhaustion and it is frustration. And people aren't as serious and they don't take things, in the right way. They're just less, they're casual about it and they're a little bit more, I don't know, neutral. We'll see. If it
Mhm.
happens, it happens. It's just
Mhm.
um, not as marriage minded. It's not as laser focused. We want it to be, and people are on there. Many people are on there for the right reasons. There's certain apps, like some are for hookup apps, and some are actually, yes, I'd like to meet somebody, but it's just hard to know the difference between who's serious and who's not.
Yeah. So we go, I mean, I guess
It's like
just
it's again,
trying,
yay boo. It's like don't get off
right.
them, but don't put all your eggs in one basket. But don't, get all your dopamine hits there. Go out and enjoy life and do something that you love also, and
Right. It
balance your
sounds like
life.
the relationship we have with social media. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to
Yes.
get fully off of it, but just know what's happening to your body every time you're like glued to that screen and just go enjoy life, you
So
know?
it's right. So it's nice when we have Shabbos, right? We have a whole day. We unplug. We
Hmm.
check out of technology and we check into our lives, into
Hmm.
ourselves, into our families. We plug in with God in a deeper way, and we have a moment where we can actually really recharge and say,
Hmm.
this is what life is.
Hmm.
This is the moment.
Yeah.
I think there's something very special about having that on a weekly basis that it's you can't just get, and even on vacation, you can't get this on vacation. You literally
No.
can't get this unless you do Shabbos. You can't get this unless you actually unplug and stop your life so that you could actually start your life.
Hmm. Which then bringing that to dating, you actually can't get the full experience of a person who a person is unless you actually like invest yourself in this dating. Like there's sometimes that's going to be a clear no at first, right? But I guess
Right.
there are times where it just you deserve, and you should even forget the other person. Like even for yourself, you deserve to give yourself the time to quietly spend time developing this relationship, right? Meaning
Yes.
to say, like, give it time to nurture. I don't know how much time. I mean, you might have benchmarks. I don't know how it works, but I guess I'm asking you, how does it work? What do you feel about how do you feel about that? Because a lot of people just want to jump ship very quickly, no?
Yeah. I have the phrase date them till you hate them for a reason because I
I
like
think
that
we
people
talked about that.
continue.
Wasn't that going to be the title of the book?
It was. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you have
See?
such a good memory. Okay, so it's the first episode in Jewish Matchmaking on Netflix. It is the first chapter in Matchmaker, and it was supposed to be the title of the book. It was supposed to be Date 'em Till You Hate 'em, and the publisher really just didn't want that. And the truth is, when I say Date 'em Till You Hate 'em, every time it makes me cringe a little. I'm like, oh, why are you using that word? And it's ridiculous. It's just so catchy and it is so memorable. People listen and they follow, which
Right.
means they don't stop dating unless they're sure that it's a no. That's what date
Mm-hmm.
them till you hate them means. It just means give somebody an opportunity, give yourself an opportunity to really see who's in front of you, and don't just turn somebody down quickly. Like, let's just keep moving. Date them till you hate them. Let's just keep
Mm-hmm.
going. There's no reason to say no, right? When
Mm-hmm.
in doubt, go
Mm-hmm.
out. Date them till you hate them. If it's not, a yes, people go, if it's not a yes, it's a no. I'm like, no, if it's not a no, it's a yes for another date. It's that
Ah,
simple.
I like that. If it's not a no, it's a yes for another date.
That's it. Yeah. Don't ask, do you like them? Don't ask, do you want to see them again? Is it a no? Is it a hard no? No. Okay, it's a yes for another date. I don't care about anything else. You'll figure out
Mm-hmm.
if you like them. You'll figure out if you want to see them. You just
Mm-hmm.
say yes to another date to figure that out. You need more time. You can't just go home and think about it because all you're
Uh-huh.
doing is reliving a past moment as opposed to experiencing a new moment with them with more
Got it.
information. Like after a first date, what do you have? 2 hours worth of information? And what do you do with your brain? Replay 2 hours of information over and over again, and you're going to figure it out? No, go out again. Then maybe you'll have 4 or 5 hours of information. Go out again. Maybe you'll have seven. Go out again. You have 10 hours of information. Woo!
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with 10 hours of information, you could make a little bit more of a
Uh-huh.
calculated decision that's probably more accurate than just, I don't think so. So I guess if it's not a strong yes, I guess it must be a no. No, that's
Uh-huh.
wrong. I took logic in university. That is not correct logic. That is not dating logic. That is not acceptable.
I really like that. Now, where does the feeling come in, right? Because at some point there has to be that feeling of, oh, I'm excited that we're going out again, right? At some point you could be neutral, but it's a yes. Yeah, okay, good. Let's keep trying. And then, but at some point you gotta feel that I'm so looking forward to Thursday's date.
Maybe.
Oh,
For a percentage of people, that is very true. And there
okay.
are people for which that is not true. The people that
Ooh.
are very strong thinkers, like very much in their head and in the heart, it's just a lower balance. For those people, they might not feel what you just described at
Oh,
all, ever. They
really?
might they might get married and not feel that.
Stop it. Are you serious?
They might just feel happy with the person they were. Same thing. Imagine a person who gets a job, right? You get
Okay.
a job and you like the job. You're like, yeah, the job of a lifetime. I'm so excited. You're like, woo, you're on fire, right? You know, other people who get a job, they're like, oh, I got a job. You're like, you like it? They're like, yeah, it's like my dream job. You're like, your dream job. Aren't you going to be more excited than that? And they're like, no, like it's good. I'm happy. I'm really happy. And you're like, you're
I,
happy. You're really,
uh-huh.
but that's their baseline. So
It's
what
so
you just,
interesting.
yeah, you described certain types of people, but that is not everybody. And think about people that you know. Not
Right.
everybody has your level of energy, enthusiasm,
Right.
pops, sizzle,
I finished a
right?
podcast. I'm like, man, that was the best interview ever. I just walked out with a client. Like I left my office. I finished with a client. He's like, oh my gosh, that was just the best client meeting ever. He was such a great client. And my husband's like, okay, tell me more.
Right, right. But does everybody do that? Do you have friends that be all your friends
I,
behave that
I
way?
thought everybody did.
No. I mean, I do and you do, but not everybody's like us.
That's why we're friends.
A lot of
So,
it actually did. I had the same thinking that you're describing, and I always used to think, well, everybody thinks the same thing, and we feel the same way, and of course you'd. And I was like, oh, actually no, because now I've talked to thousands of people, and I have seen there are categories of people. There's the you and me
okay.
type of people.
The
There's the
bubbly
people that are
kind.
like. Yeah, there's like the little bit more neutral people that are just like, yeah, it's good. No, I'm happy. I'm good. I'm feeling good. Like you see that they're like with an upswing of energy, but not like what we're talking about. And then there's the people that are just like, yeah, this makes sense. It's good for me. And you're like, wow. And that makes you happy.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, yeah, yeah, it's good. It's right. And you're like, good. It's good. It's good. But that's their level. They
That's
would
who
be
they
like
are.
that at a simcha. They would be like that at a work celebration. They would be
Right.
like that with their personal family. Like in every life situation, how you normally react is how you could expect them to react. Like you have very similar behavior patterns. So you have to
Uh-huh.
figure out people's behavior patterns.
Okay. Okay. So just because you're not, as long as it's not a no, it's like go on dating, but you don't have
As
to be
long as
like,
it's not a no, it's a go. That's it.
okay,
Just
go.
one more
Okay.
date. When you hit a hard no, it's a no. And there is a certain point, and let's say you're dating for a long period of time. Let's call it 6 months, right? And it's not a no, and you're not feeling like an overwhelming yes, and you still like you're so in between, you don't know what to do. After 6 months, if you're not feeling more into it and more convinced that this is really appropriate, then I would say, why is it, what's really holding you back? because
Mm.
like after you should be over, first of all, even if it's neutral good, it should still go up over time. Like I should still be more into it even if my excitement level doesn't show in the same way, but I should still feel more confident about the relationship. If I haven't gained that confidence in 6 months and it's still in question, I don't know how you're going to get through a marriage living in question.
Mm. It just reminded me when I was younger. My mother used to say, and again, this was being raised in a very secular environment. My mother used to say, after a certain age, and I believe it was 27, if you've been dating somebody for a year and you're both over 27, and he hasn't talked about marriage, you can be sure that he's not marrying you. And I think there was a lot of wisdom in that. And I
Mm,
think there was a lot of wisdom in that because I saw it time and time again with people dating after a certain age. Like, if it's not happening, and by the way, you're going to end it, and 3 months later, he's going to be married to somebody else. It's just you weren't the one.
interesting.
It's
It's
kind of
and
scary,
it's
but
very hard to swallow that. That is a
that's
very,
very hard.
very hard pill to swallow.
It's very hard. It never happened to me, but I saw it happening to other people, and it's very very difficult. But just having that kind of like that awareness, like just know that it could happen that you're both wasting your time. Like if it's not, and especially
Yeah.
for a man, it's very comfortable just to drag things on. After a certain age, a man is either getting married or he's just not getting married to you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. 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 It's a
right?
good point.
Right? Confidence. You talked about confidence, and I think you talk about confidence in the book. How much confidence is there such a thing as too much confidence? How much confidence is too much? I remember when I was younger being told, just don't be so opinionated. Don't be so assertive. Like bat your eyelashes a little bit more. Like be more like that, like more, I don't know, docile, meek, whatever. Right. I'm like, can I just be me? Like, can I just be happy, upbeat, opinionated me? Apparently not. Um, my husband, I'm married for we just had our 20th anniversary actually. Um,
Mazal tov.
yes, thank you. Okay, so what's the deal with confidence?
I think there is such a thing as too much confidence,
Hmm.
and confidence then at that point borders on arrogance and like that ick that you get from somebody.
Yeah,
But I think that a calm confidence and a strong confidence where I just know who I am, I like who I am, I have a sense of who you are, I have an understanding about the world around me, and I
right.
have a very grounded feeling like that confidence, that's sexy. That's like
Yeah.
delicious. That's like, ooh,
Hmm.
wow. You know who you are who you know where you stand, you understand the world around you, and you just move more gracefully through the
Definitely.
world. That's really beautiful. A quiet confidence is nice also where, like you're not over assuming and you're like, oh, somebody would look at you and be like, oh, you don't even know how great you are, right? And you're like, oh, that's, like it's kind of like you found a hidden gem. So a
Yeah.
quiet confidence is also sometimes really nice. You see that in people that are either younger or not as experienced in themselves or in this certain area of life or business or something where they're not over assuming, they're not too strong. They're just, you just see they know what they're talking about, but they just don't, they're not overpowering with it.
Right. Right.
Um, that's just also beautiful.
Yeah. You just reminded me. I had a friend who just married off a son. He's 25. She was 20. They're married now. And she said one of the things that took him a while is that he kept telling to his mother, I just don't know if she knows like who she is. She's like, she's 20. She
Right,
doesn't know yet who she is. You're 25, almost 26. Like you've had a lot more life experience. It's okay. Like, you know
right.
what I mean?
Exactly.
And I think what I'm hearing from you about confidence, and it goes back to that self growth and the work that we have to do in ourselves, right? That inner work, like we identify there might be an area of growth. I see this a lot, like because women are lacking an area of confidence in themselves, that's actually projecting and hurting in their dating as well as in other achievements like, career, professional, business, whatever might be. So it's a big area of work, probably for both men and women. I'm not sure.
Definitely, definitely for both. I would say for women, when you don't have confidence, often they project a message of like, well, why would you want me? Like, I don't know this, or I can't do this, or I'm not like
Right.
that, right? And then it doesn't become very appealing because when you don't have confidence in who you are, it doesn't give him confidence. For the
Yeah.
men, often it comes a lack of confidence in, I don't earn enough money, or I'm not doing something in the world important enough, or,
Hmm.
who's who. And I don't know who, like I'm not in the know about certain things where they don't have a strong confidence, or looks for men or women. It could be that they don't feel that they look a certain way. And well, if I don't look that way, I can't get what I want.
Oh,
I think I told this story maybe on the show, or maybe I mentioned it after, but this one guy was like, he's like, I'm like a 6 in terms of looks, but like with personality, I'm a 9. And I was like, you nailed it. You are right. And he was right. You're about a 6 in looks, but who cares? Because your confidence and you're just, it's charisma and your passion and your
it's an energy.
sparkle, your
Right.
energy was so vibrant. You were a 9. You're right. You pulled from a 6 all the way up to a 9. Like, good job. You did a great job.
I love it. And so a person like that, do they jive with a person who's also a 9 in personality, or somebody who's a little bit more reserved and quiet?
They're usually more flexible because they saw the growth in themselves and they
Oh,
know the difference. And so they often have a lot more flexibility.
oh
It's
my
actually
gosh,
a beautiful thing.
that is so beautiful. So a person who's worked, you're saying a person who's worked on themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
And has
so
self-awareness. Like
right.
you work on yourself, you understand, you understand the world around you, and you're like, you kind of know your place, right?
Yeah.
Like, listen,
And I'm
if
a
I would
six,
look,
I'm a 6 in looks, but I'm a 9 in personality.
listen, if I'm gonna rank, like, I'm not ranking myself a 10. I know what supermodels look like, and I don't look like that. I
Right.
have a really big smile. I use it often. I have dimples. I have a charismatic personality, right? So, like, same, whatever number I am, like, I could put myself up to like a 9 because of charisma,
Right.
but yet it looks alone. Like, I'm not. There's hotter people out there, and when you get married, also you have to realize the person you're marrying, they're good looking. They're good looking to you. Will you see more beautiful people in the world? You will.
Of
You're just not going to
course.
live with them, and you don't know how they're going to treat you, right?
Yeah.
But will you
That
find,
that's not
yeah,
why you take to bed at night.
right? But could you see other beautiful people in the world? You will. Don't be surprised if you do. That's
Hmm.
normal. That's not a problem. But you make your choice of who you want to live with and how you want to live your life. And that's the partner that you pick, because it's not just about their face. Of course, you want to know how they treat you. You want to know how you're going to jive as a family. You want to know if your beliefs are in alignment and your long-term values. If you're in the car, go in the same direction, and you can make it work and not drive each other crazy on that,
Hmm.
however many year ride.
Yes. Please God, it should be many, many years. But I like what you said,
Amen.
flexibility. When you have that self-awareness of your place in the world and how the world works, you're more flexible with other people, with the people you're dating.
It's also because you saw the transition between who you are, where you stand in one area, and then overall where you stand. So when you look at somebody, you don't look at them only through one narrow lens. You're like, oh, you're here, but with this, right? So whatever is
Mhm.
lacking, because we all have a
Mhm.
great thing about us, we all have many great things about us, and many things that are actually lacking. And
Right.
when you look only at the lacking, you're like, not attracted, not attracted, not attracted, and boom, they fall off, right? And when you look at the whatever things that you love and you ignore all the things that you don't love, you're like, this is amazing, amazing, amazing. And then you're like, oh, but we're not in alignment with our values. Oh, what a
Mm.
shame. I wasn't paying attention to that. But somebody who does that and moderates with themselves and sees themselves at different points and
Mhm.
understands their strengths and their weaknesses, they see that with other people too. So they don't miss the good, and they are more accepting and understanding of the other stuff that isn't as good.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. You talk about activating your soulmate radar. I love the sound of that. What does that mean? Is that sort of what we're alluding to here?
Yeah, I never heard anybody put those two together, but I think the answer is yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, I think that when you have a sense of who you are and an understanding of who you are, it's like a puzzle piece. We're just looking to stick two things together.
Mhm.
I used to love puzzles as a kid. I always started with the edges. I don't know how you do puzzles, but
Of
right,
course, always.
right. Start with the edges, and then you find and you cluster the color things together, and you do all of those things, right? When you're looking for your soulmate, sometimes with a puzzle, you take a piece and you put it in, and you're like, tap, 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 jam it in. It works. You see it fits. And then you look at it and you're like, It
Yeah.
doesn't fit. So the soulmate thing kind of works the same way, where sometimes, we're looking for this soulmate, or we're activating how to find our soulmate. And we're like finding something that's like close enough. And we have this like radar that's up, and we're like putting that piece in, and we're like, oh, this isn't it. It's close, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes we get very close when we put out this radar, when we put out this energy to find somebody, and that we're open to receiving them. Options start to come to us, and we start to see the possibilities. And sometimes we try to make something fit that doesn't exactly fit, but we
Mhm.
are, in a sense, getting closer because we have a greater awareness. And so we're drawing people in that are potentially going to be that fit. So
Mhm.
but you have to be careful that you don't try to jam a wrong piece in. I
Or
try, I
right.
tried it once. It didn't work. And I was like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And I was like, oh, I like these things, and that's what draws me to this person, but these things don't work at all. And I was like, and that cancels this out. Okay. It's not one for one. It was just that there were deal breakers that were there, and it didn't matter how much good is there. If there's deal breakers that aren't in alignment, like the things that we talked about, it could be, religious levels, politics, certain smoking habits, whatever. It can't work. It just can't work.
So much of this is, again, going back to that word, self-awareness, like knowing yourself, because there's so many voices. Like your best friend could tell you that he's perfect for
Yes.
you. Your mother likes him. Like there's like rash on paper, it could be great, but it just doesn't jive with your set of values and what you see for your life. There's something and it's not even about the feeling. It's just it gets right, but you have to trust that inner voice. That's very hard in so many in
It's
all
you,
areas of life.
right? It's really you that has to trust all of this, because you can't leave this up to somebody else to decide. If your mother or your best friend or your coworker or somebody else in your life makes this decision for you, the problem is they don't have to live with this person, and you do. I had a client, and I spoke with him, and the end of the conversation, he's like, and that's what my mother wants for me. I'm like, refresh, rewind. Could you do me a favor? Now tell me the story about what you want. What are you looking for? How is this going to work for you?
Right.
He's like, and his answer was, oh, I don't know. I'll call you next week. Right? Like he didn't
Mhm.
have his own voice. He didn't have his own thought. He didn't have his own opinion. It wasn't in there because somebody else's voice was drowning it out. And
Mhm.
that's a huge issue. We have to know who we are. We have to know where we stand. And we have to know, if I'm not clear about where I am, we have to know that I'm not clear about where I am. That's also clarity. That's fine. At
Mhm.
least you have a knowing. We have
Mhm.
to tap into what works for us, what doesn't work for us, right? Like I don't know, if you had an allergy to a food and somebody's going to tell you, don't eat that, you're allergic. You're like, no, I'm not. I'm allergic to kiwi, not pineapple. And they're like, oh, what do you know what I'm allergic to? You know what I like? You know what I don't like? No, I know that. My body knows that. My brain knows that. My heart knows that. I know these things. And that's where confidence comes back in. And we need to say, yes, I know enough to know what works for me because I'm clear about who I am. I'm clear about what I want. I'm clear about my values. I'm clear about the direction I want to go. I know my deal breakers. I know the things I'm
Mhm.
afraid of. I know the
Mhm.
things that are like, ick, they really, really bother me and I cannot live with it. And I know where to be flexible. And I know where to make compromises. And I know where to balance it out so that this relationship has potential and that it could actually work. And if it doesn't, I'll also figure out how to navigate. Like I know enough about me and I know enough about you that I could see us coming together, or maybe not.
Hmm. I just heard of somebody in a relationship, and they were constantly trying to change this person, like constantly like fixing them, which to me was such a red flag already. Like you just that's not a healthy dynamic. Like let
Correct.
him be.
Correct. Correct. You have to accept. Acceptance is part of the formula when you meet somebody. So there's stuff you love,
Okay.
there's stuff that you don't love.
Okay.
You marry them for the stuff that you love, and the stuff that you don't love, it's not a deal breaker. It is in the place of I don't like it. I never have to like it, but I do have to accept that this comes with the package.
Mm.
Okay?
Right.
You don't ever have to like it. You just have to accept it. I don't care about liking. I only care about acceptance. If
I
you
love it. You
it's
have
so
to
it's so it's so great. You can't Some people are like, "No, you'll have to learn to love it." And I was like, "No, you
no,
don't. No, you just have to learn how to live with it. Love it? No, you'll love
no.
other things." You just have
Right.
to learn how to navigate it because it comes with the package. You don't have to
It's
like the package. You just have to know if it's a deal breaker, you don't take it. But if you take it, it is yours, all of it.
right, but it's not yours to change. It's there,
No.
and it might be there for life because the only person who can change it themselves, and you can't control that. So you better
And over
accept it.
Except, and I tell people the formula. The things that you like usually get better over time, and the things that you don't like get worse over time. But
Oh
your
my gosh.
ability to handle it gets more over time. So you can handle it to a greater degree, and it gets more intense to a greater degree. It's okay. It balances itself out.
Yes, so, so true. So good. Now, you and I are, I mean, I would say like a few short years of starting to think about marrying our children. How old is your oldest?
21.
Yeah, my oldest is 19. So like so to mothers like us, to parents like us, like what are we going to do better for our children? Like how are we going to like what do you think we should be thinking about to make this process healthier, easier? What should we be thinking about for our kids?
I tell people to be very specific to that child, not for our children, right?
Mhm.
Who are they? What do they need in this process? Some people need more independence. Some people need more hand holding. Some people need more direct guidance. Let me
Mhm.
tell you what my advice is. And other people need to listen more, tell me what you think, let people hear their own thinking. Each child has their own energy, their own way of thinking, their own way of being, and some need more and some need less support. And
Mhm.
it's not, we don't give everybody the same, right? Children, I don't, like, I love you all the same. I
Mhm.
value all good. It's not true, right? The more you give, the more you love. Yes, in theory, we love you all the same, but not every, you teach every child according to their way. That's the Torah perspective. What
Mhm.
is your child's way? So I want to ask you, what is their way? Think about what is their way and what do they need from you.
Mhm.
So I have one that's 21 and a boy and a daughter that is 19. And I told, and everybody knows all my kids, I was like, you have until 25 years old and 364 days. You need to be married before you turn 26. And they're like,
Mhm.
okay. And I was like, yeah, that's the rule because life happens and things happen and you can keep going and doing whatever you want in life, but you need to find your partner. It's not the easiest thing to do. It's kind of the hardest thing to do. Do it now, live a good long life with them, build your life together. And by 25, that's my rule.
You're so good about being old school and unapologetically about it. And I love it. And at the same time, being so in tune with the realities of the modern
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, you
Like
can go
what?
on with life and you're going to miss it. Like, look, I work primarily with older singles, right? So 30s, 40s, 50s plus. So I see the challenges that people are facing.
Right.
I got
Right.
married and I was 25 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband was older than that. He's 10 and a half years older. So I'm 25 and a half and he had just turned 36. And we got married and we've been married for 22 years. And
Mm-hmm.
it's incredible going from 25 to now I just turned 48, right?
Mm-hmm.
And building a life together
Mm-hmm.
and being together for a lot of my youth, so to speak, and
Right.
growing up with him.
Yeah.
I had my family's home and then I got married and then I grew up with him. And I feel like there's something really, I don't know, beautiful in that. My father, actually, you'll love this. So my father he's the money guy in the family. He was the one with savings. You got a birthday present, went into savings. You got a bat mitzvah present, it went into savings. You got a wedding present, everything, wherever money came in, it went into savings. You earned money, you didn't need to spend it, it went into savings, right? So I got married. The rule was, sorry, got to step back. He said, here's the rule. You can't touch it. And now legally at 18 you can, but this is the family rule. The family rule is you can't touch it until you're 25 or married, whichever comes
Ooh.
first. So it was either turning 25 or getting married that you could then use it. And his other like rule that wasn't these are unwritten rules, so to speak, was it's not just to be used for anything. Like you should really use it for like a down payment on a house. You should
Mm-hmm.
use it to build your
Yeah.
home.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like for me, that was a really strong message.
Amazing.
Get married by 25, build a home. Here's the money, here's the foundation to do it. You need a partner, you need some finances, and this is the stability of your life. And that's
So,
that's a really strong message that my father gave me.
so, so smart. And yeah, and yes, it reminded me, I guess in my case, I had that same with this idea of like, if after 27 you're dating somebody for a year and they haven't talked about marriage, like just walk out because they're not marrying you. Kind of like, I
Right.
also had
Right.
that limit of
Right.
like, there's a certain age where like you better be married. And if you're wasting your time with someone, like just know that you're wasting your time. They're wasting their
But
time.
and you don't always know, that's the problem. You don't always know and you have to live it out. But I also don't like that we go beyond 6 months, because after 6 months you've been dating. I know you, you know me. We should at
Right.
least be able to have a real conversation. I like you like me. We're going
Agree.
somewhere and
Agree.
somewhere
Especially
serious.
after a certain age. We're not
For
20,
sure.
we're not 21. We're already mature adults,
Right.
right?
Right.
Right. 100%. And I'm right. I wrote your father's rules because I always tell my kids but I hadn't told them about until you're 25 or married. But I keep telling them, they always ask me, but what's the money for? I'm like, you're going to build your first house. You're going to
Oh,
start your first
oh.
business.
Yeah, no. Oh, so that's what he said. It's not, you can't buy a car. Don't use the money for
Yeah.
something that depreciates in value.
Yeah.
If you want to build a business, or if you want to, but a house. He really said for a house. He didn't say for a business, although I hear that about a business. I
Right.
almost feel like if I had the means, I'd rather help my kids build a business, and that money's for a house. Build a home, build a home,
I
home,
like it.
family, partner,
I
life,
love
go.
it. I absolutely, absolutely love it. Now, in this process of dating, and I think we touched upon this a little bit the last time we were together, at what point is it healthy to start talking about money? And what are some healthy ways or creative, we might even say creative ways to do it so that the conversation happens and doesn't get like buried under the rug and until way later when we're married or under the chuppah or whatever.
Yeah, money is a really tough subject. I often like people to start talking about things like savers versus spenders. Like, what kind of a family did you grow up in, or were your parents similar about money, or different about money? There's also a scarcity mentality about money, or an abundance mentality. So those are the types of things I like to have a conversation about. And I don't think it's super relevant until, I don't know, at least you're dating 5 dates, 6 dates. Like, I like you enough and you like me enough that I think that there's something a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've
Mm-hmm.
gotten past the do I like you? And it's more like, no, I like you and you like me. Let's see where we're going with this, where you can start to have those basic conversations and just learn about, first I would start with past, then go to
Right.
present, then go to future. Like, how did you grow up? How were you raised? Like me, I could tell you my whole story. We were raised having savings. When I started to work and babysit, I probably told you this story. Did I tell you this one on the
The
last
first
podcast?
$500.
$500. Don't, I came with $20 and he's like, I don't want that. Come back when you have 500. So I come back with a huge wad of cash, like ones and fives and tens and twenties. He's like, what's that? I'm like, you told me 500. He's like, good job. Do it again, right? And that was the mentality that I had. And I always knew the money was there, like, and every once in a while it would be like, okay, well, is it growing? How much is there?
Right.
Because it was in, funds and things like that. And, I think that you can have basic conversations just to see, are you a spender or a saver? Are you somebody who grew up with an abundance or a scarcity mindset around money? And to see where we have similarities and differences. Many people get married and have differences. So I'm not saying you
Of
have to find
course.
somebody that only has the same mentality. We want to go for like an understanding. Once we have an understanding, then we can figure out where's our similarities and differences and where we're going to have friction.
Mm-hmm.
Because also, some people, do you like to balance books? Are you a numbers and spreadsheet person, right? If you ask me that, I love numbers and spreadsheets. It's like my brain thinks in spreadsheets. I am also super creative. So I have both sides, and I'm like the bill payer and the one that, like, takes care of all the stuff. That's me, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
want to know, is your partner the same? Do you divvy up the job, or like they hate it, forget it, it's all on you, right? Or vice
Mm-hmm.
versa.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you said, starting, and this, by the way, this applies to even if you're married and you're finally starting to talk about money because it has been, not happening for the last 10 years, but starting with the home of origin, like, right, how were you raised? What were the things you
Yep.
saw? And, that's non-threatening, right? You're just getting to know each
Yeah.
other. Who was
History.
doing
It's
that?
just
Right, it's
history.
just history. Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
my parents, paid for my college. Oh, no, I had to take student loans. Like, it just, yeah, my mother never worked. Oh,
Exactly.
my mother started a business, just history, right? So it starts giving you a little bit of hints.
And
But then
it's
there's,
stories. All of those are stories. Like, oh, my mom worked, or she was a homemaker, or she started a business, right? That's a story you can tell.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I love that.
yeah, yeah. And look, it's part of getting to know each other. So it's also beautiful. You're not just learning about their money story, but you're learning about their experiences. So,
Right.
there's a pro to talking about money here.
Right. And then I think that's past. And then the present is how they live now, how they spend now. Are they
Right.
extravagant? Do they buy super expensive gifts? Do they go on luxurious vacations? Like some people are stuff people, some people are experiential
Experienced
people, and
people.
everybody likes to spend their money differently. And other
Right.
people are savers and never like to do anything with it. So how
Right.
do they like to spend their money? That's present. And then I would say future. Like, what are your hopes and dreams? Some
Right.
people are like, I don't want to buy a house. I just want to travel as much as possible. So
Right.
let's rent so that we don't have that burden. Other people
Right.
are like, I want a home and I want to, be established and I want to, and we want to go from our starter home to our family home to our retirement home. And right, everybody has a different vision. So I think
And
those are like really good conversations.
great conversations. And I think sometimes I'm trying to help people with the fear factor here, but sometimes the going to the past stories can even lead you very easily into the future, right? Because you might hear
Yes.
that my father, kind of went bankrupt, and then I had an uncle who lived like a nomad, and I used to go with him in the summers, and I love that. Oh, would you like to do that? You like the nomadic life? Tell me more about that, right? So you're
Right.
starting to already hear,
Exactly.
but where it can get
Exactly.
tricky is the present, right? Meaning to say, like, it can get tricky because it's such an emotionally charged topic to inquire or find out how much debt do you have? Do you
Right.
have, how much
Right.
you are you save? Are you
Only
saving?
it's only taboo if you're not Israeli. If you're Israeli, you could be
Oh,
sitting on the bus. They're like, "Who are you? What do you do? How much do you earn?
oh, okay. There
Do you
you
have any
go.
debt?" Yeah, they just ask you anything. But if you're not Israeli, it's really awkward. It's very uncomfortable and it's totally rude. But if you're Israeli, it's just called normal.
Normal. So maybe we should all just go date in Israel. So there's another plug for moving to Israel. That's it. Let your kids be Israeli, and just, we're gonna be
Just
happier
say it like
anyway.
it is.
Say it
Ask
like it
any
is.
question that comes to your mind.
Exactly. So for everybody else who's not, like, how do they navigate that? Because it has to happen at some point. You kind of have to know, right?
Yeah, so I think things like, either if they have savings or they aspire to have savings, are they somebody who has a home or is looking to buy a home, like where they're at, like do they run their own business? They have their own job? Are they in the same job? And, like, I don't know that you want to have conversations like, and do you get a raise every year? And it's like,
Mm.
yes, I get a 3% raise. I think that gets a little awkward, but just I think besides asking direct questions, you can see how people spend money, and how comfortable or uncomfortable they are to spend money. You can
Right,
see if they do buy presents. Sometimes it's about money only, or sometimes it's about thought and money, or sometimes it's just about the thought, right? And
right.
and usually you notice how people speak about. I mean, in the book, one of the red flags was all about money. Like this
Okay.
guy was living beyond his means and he had to move back in with his parents and then he had to sell his car and then like he was doing all these things so he could like have more money. She's like, no, you don't have more money. You literally just sold something because you don't have enough money. Maybe you should stop spending. And he was like, no, I prefer not. And she's like, I prefer not to live in debt. This isn't going to work with us, right?
Wow.
You could, but she could see. So I think on one hand, yes, we can ask questions, but you're going to know more by hearing all of these stories.
Yeah.
You're just going
Yeah.
to start to understand it. And you're going to, if you're paying attention, you're going to see how they spend money. Like, again, this is a story, it's an old story, but this guy went out on a date. And at the end of the date, he went to pay and he like put his little coupon on there to pay with the coupon. Like, make sure to give me my $10 off. And she was like, we're done. Like you saved $10, but you are never getting another date. Now, it happens to be that that's his real personality. Like he likes to get a deal, he likes to get a bargain. He's always like that, and that would have irritated her. So it's
Right.
fine that it ended up being a deal breaker, but it just didn't feel very taken care of. Now, I said to her, I was like, listen, if you were married to him, wouldn't you appreciate that he just saved you $10? And she
Right.
smiled, right? So like, what I don't like in dating, I might actually be happy to be married to, right?
And amazing point. So true. It could be very not likable in dating, but you would actually appreciate it when you're
Right.
married.
Right. And then you get upset when you're married and they're spending all this money and you're like, well, he didn't put the coupon out. What'd you think you were gonna get?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. He never asked for a discount. He could be saving us so much money.
Right.
Right. So there's that balance there. Wow, this is so fun. You have a fun business, fun work. Tell us more about where we can connect with you. Aside from getting the book, everybody should get the book, Matchmaker. Find me. I love that last. That's what we're looking for, people. Where else can we connect with you, Aleeza?
You can connect with me on any social at Aleeza Ben Shalom or at my website. Also, you can go to aleezabenshalom.com. The official one is marriagemindedmentor.com, whatever's easier for you. But find me, connect with me, follow me. I would love to hear all of your questions, all of your thoughts on money, dating, relationships, love, whatever you need.
She's the gal, people. You want to get married? Talk to Aleeza Ben Shalom. Thank you so much for this wonderful interview
Thank
and
you.
for
Yeah.
everything that you do. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.